I find so interesting is that you already had the awareness that or is this now in hindsight, that it
Hmm.
was a belief system that there was that was in the way of you blooming to your full potential. Were you
Yeah,
already aware then that it was a
yeah.
belief system?
I was aware then. I just was still very good at fighting against it,
Okay.
not going downstream. I wasn't
Yeah.
very good at going downstream.
Hey everyone, welcome to this interview that I did with Douglas White. A very deep, present, and inspiring man, and someone that has a lot of talent in different areas. And we will do another interview soon with something special that he created. So stay tuned. For now, have so much fun with the wisdom Douglas shares with us in this interview. Enjoy.
Hey, Doug, welcome.
Hello, Victoria.
Hello. Nice to have you. Nice to have you here. And thank you for making the time.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about how I want to introduce you, but then I
Mm,
thought, and yesterday we had a short chat to get acquainted
hmm
because we don't know each other. We do, but we don't. Like in the
hmm
interspaces, we've known each other for a long time. But this is the second time that I actually speak to you.
Yeah.
So, and we were speaking about definitions, and I was thinking I
Mhm.
don't want to go into an introduction that is like, ah, so you're Doug White and you did blah, 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 blah. I don't want to
Mm,
do that actually.
mm, mhm.
So, like, but maybe you do want to say something about that. No, it's more about like I felt drawn to invite you to be my friend, my best friend on Facebook. And then I checked your stuff out because I always trust my intuition. I always know that I'm always on the lookout for interesting people and
Sure,
interesting conversations.
sure,
That when I benefit from it, I know that someone else will too,
sure.
because I might be unique, but still things that inspire me inspire other people too.
Yeah.
So that's why I dove into um, your interviews and things that you have shared. And I would say you are a channeler, poet, inventing life as you go, inventor of a
Mm,
better life.
mm,
Um, doing your best to be the best possible version of the dog
mm.
that you can be.
Yeah.
Do you want to add something to that?
Yeah. So I first of all, I would agree with all the things that you just said there, especially those last couple of wanting to or continuing to reinvent my life, and then also wanting to be the best version of myself. There's no doubt about that. I think it's as a coach, right, being in this arena, I think it's nice for anyone coming to listen to have some background of what the physical human being is. So I totally appreciate you opening that up
Mm.
to me to kind of do as I please.
Yeah.
I do have an amazing story as an individual walking in this meat suit that we all are walking around in this way.
Mhm.
When I was 18 or 19 years old, I started to really realize what the heck is going on inside this universe that I'm living in.
Yeah.
And so you pointed this out yesterday when we chatted. The first thing was I went to this life spring training and I found out, hey, life is really about giving and receiving love. That's really it. If you can tap into that, if you can get comfortable and cozy and all the other, lovely adjectives on being able to give and receive love, you're going to have a really nice life. It's going to be great. And the graduation to that was me running into Abraham Hicks information. And that's obviously law of attraction, universal law, so on and so forth. And that for me was like the PhD. Okay. And at the time, I was wanting a baseball career as a pitcher.
Yeah.
Wasn't very good. I didn't throw very hard, but I really wanted this. Okay. So I started down.
Strong desire.
Yes. I had a very strong desire. So I went down that road. I was not able to create a playing career, but quickly after the playing career, 6 months after playing, when I was fighting tooth and nail to get into an affiliated organization, I got into an organization as a coach. So I was like, what the heck is going on here? I was fascinated. I was super happy.
As a pitch coach, right?
As a pitching coach at this time. Yep. In the minor leagues. But I was like, what is going on? How, like, I really like, how did this happen? Sure, you know how it happens, but did you really know how it happened?
Pause.
Yep.
Question. Yeah.
Yep.
Because so you were already into the Abraham Hicks stuff then, right?
Yep. Yep. I was about 4 years into knowing the information when I got my first professional coaching job.
Yeah. And connecting the dots backwards.
Mm-hmm.
In a short, because you're also still in the introduction.
Mm-hmm.
What was it you think you did that brought you a career as a pitching coach?
So physically, when I was at the basically end of my playing career, I met a mentor of mine, Brent Strom, and I also was doing some side coaching, like to make some money while I was trying to play. Mm-hmm. And in that experience, those couple experiences, doing the pitching sessions, the coaching sessions with Brent, and then also the side coaching.
Yeah.
First of all, what happened was a coach came up to me, a coach who was already in affiliated ball. He was a AAA manager with the Colorado Rockies at the time. Yeah. Okay. He told me, because I was coaching his son, he said, Doug, I want to put your name in for this rookie league pitching coach job. Mm. And at that time, I had that was even on my radar because I was still trying to play. I had no thoughts. How can I coach in affiliated ball when I'm not even a player? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. And what I'm also looking for, maybe you're getting to the and I'm too impatient. I'm also looking, I'm never impatient. Yeah. Okay. So I'm looking for your state of being. If you can track back, connect the dots backwards, how you were being. Were you fulfilled? Were you impatient? Were you happy? Do you
so
know?
This is the state of being.
Yeah.
I was so focused on trying to be a player.
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily aware that this coaching path was actually a better fit for me, a better feel, more of who I was. Until I had this interaction with this coach who said that to me. And right then and there, I had all the goosebumps and the, oh my God, this is amazing, like that kind of thing, because it just at that moment, my universe expanded tenfold because a whole new arena of life was opened up to me in that moment of invitation. And so in that moment of invitation, I started to carry that out like, oh, wow, what else is possible for me? Just because my vision was one vision. You have to be a player.
Tunnel vision.
Yeah, but you have to be a player. Yeah. So I didn't have a vision of, I want to be in professional baseball, and however the universe provides that for me is great. That's not what I was thinking. I was thinking, I want to be a professional pitcher. Make me be a professional pitcher. How do I be a professional pitcher?
Ah. And
And
you and then in the end, you were a professional pitcher coach.
but not in affiliate. Yeah, yeah, exactly. A professional pitching coach. Yes. Yeah. Which
Okay.
I then, well, the continuation is, so once I got into affiliated ball and I was lost in my beliefs, I obviously believed enough or I wouldn't have gotten there. That's universal law that, you know, the
Yeah.
universe is not providing anything for you that you can't handle, that you're not ready for. So I'm there, I'm ready in that sense, but not in my brain, not in my physical being. I was second guessing a whole lot of things. So
Yeah.
I went through this whole journey
Yeah.
for the next 10 years, I believe it was.
Can I pause you again there?
Yeah, of
There's
course,
a
of
question
course.
about that time.
Yeah.
Was this in the time, because I watched an interview that you did with Human Performance, Human,
Oh yeah, with Brandon Harris. Yeah.
yeah, the muscle up dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So in that in that conversation, you speak about how you got let go of a position. Was this in these 10 years?
Well, I got fired twice
Yeah,
within
yeah,
the
wait. So
10
yeah,
years, but
yeah.
I think what I was talking about with him was me being let go ultimately from the Angels when I was in the big leagues. When I
Okay.
was in that, I think that ultimately was what we were discussing. Yeah. So there was
Okay.
a gap between, there was like total different life-changing things going on from the beginning to that point. So if I'm like, I'm at the beginning of my pitching coach career, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just going back and forth inside of these belief systems, and I'm slowly working myself into a broader belief, you know, until to a more encompassing belief about who I am and my capabilities. And also in the meanwhile, witnessing my journey so I can learn from my journey. So for example, I'm witnessing how I'm relating to players.
Yeah.
And I didn't like how I was relating to players at first.
Can you
So
give an example?
sure, I was more of a disciplinarian, an authoritative type voice
Yeah.
in my early experience as a coach. But in professional baseball, that is absolutely not going to work.
No.
And also, it didn't feel very good and it's not what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
So I started to notice other coaches and how they were doing things. And I said, wow, I think I want to adapt some of those styles to myself because I want to create these types of relationships.
And you
so,
spoke.
yeah,
Sorry to interrupt you.
no, you go.
Thank you. You spoke about that you kind of walked up against belief systems that you had.
Yes.
And that
Yes.
you were at one point, you were like, okay. And what I find so interesting is that you already had the awareness that or is this now in hindsight, that it was a belief system that there was that was in the way of you blooming to your full potential. Were you
Yeah.
already aware then that it was a
Yeah.
belief system?
I was aware then. I just was still very good at fighting against it, you know, not going downstream. I wasn't very good at going downstream.
So you were aware. What was like just a couple of little things that you remember share? What were you thinking then that was in the way, and how did you
The
pivot?
broad beliefs are, I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if they'll trust me. I don't know if I can create relationships the way I want to. You know, those types of beliefs.
Yeah.
And it was a slow and steady pace of realizing where I was and realizing what was going on, that I was capable. that I was able, and of course, I was in and out at times, and in and out of how I wanted to feel and how I wanted to be. But I also was having great amount of success. The teams we were on, we were in the minor leagues, we were winning championships. Guys were getting moved up. So there was things that were going on around me to show me, hey, Dougie, you're doing okay. Just keep going. Just keep working.
But then the thing, it's kind of like, I just want to, I have a question about this, because you would say a belief system, if you keep thinking like for 100%, I suck, then you will reap the fruits of I suck. You will see I suck tree and everything goes downhill from there.
That depends though. So here's the little nuance to that. This is super interesting.
Yeah.
Because just because your brain is keeping you in a loop of this type of thought pattern, that doesn't mean vibrationally that that's truly how you feel and think about yourself. You're tapping into thought patterns, and you're tapping into frequencies at times throughout your life. And so that doesn't mean that's who you dominantly are or dominantly feel about yourself. So I think part of that deal was, I'm hard on myself. I'm critical of myself. I'm over analyzing myself. But what was really going on behind the scenes was, I'm okay. I got this. I do know what I'm doing. I am finding my way.
A level of confidence and self-soothing. And this is, I love that you point that out, because I believe that that's a general belief that if you constantly keep thinking shitty things, then, but no, it's, I love how you make the distinction between, because it's also, I had an amazing calibration yesterday on a group call, like I got calibrated, because I did, but I also received them. And I had the realization about it, about my topic, that it was just a thought that I picked up again, and it wasn't even my thought. It's just a collective consciousness, blah, blah. And I could really see it for what it was. Cool. Not my thought.
Yes. And so that's the thing. It's like, when you're picking up these thoughts, how much charge do they have? They have a whole bunch of charge. Okay, yes, there might be something you want to do about that, to soothe it, to calm it, so on and so forth. But sometimes thoughts come and you're just like, what is that's not a part of, that's not who I am. That's not a part of me. But I still, it, based on my reality at the time, and it took me 10 years to get to a point where I literally then tipped the scale to where I knew I was going to be in the big leagues. So it wasn't like, it wasn't that I didn't believe in who I was. It was that I was fighting against other realities that were around me. For example, the way the organization looked at me, the starting organization, when I was, back into baseball and starting to wanting to climb the rakes, and I was more stable in what I was doing. I was also getting caught up in what was going on around me, instead of trusting, hey, where I am is great, where I am is wanted, where I am is a benefit, and I can learn from where I am. I can discover from where I am. Those weren't the consistent thoughts I had. I had thoughts of, you don't like me, you don't know who I am, you don't see me the way I am, and you're never going to let me be who I am. So that was the fight I had, hence the slow climb up the ladder. I could have made a lot speedier of a process for myself if I truly wanted to.
And also, hence, you got let go a couple of times, or is that?
Yes, it was at the beginning. It was at the beginning. It's an interesting thing, like, in real time, like right now where we're talking, if I could quickly go back and just look into that and say like, okay, what was that about?
Mm.
I think it was about the tug of war going inside of me of, is this really going to be something I want to be doing?
Mm.
Am I going to really belong in
Okay.
this place? Can I be me inside of this place? And so I did actually, after 2 years of being a professional coach, I stepped away.
Mm.
And for 3 years, I owned my own business
Mm.
as a coach, as
Mm.
as a pitching coach.
Mm.
So for 3 years, I wasn't even in professional baseball.
Mm.
I was building up my own business. And then I realized towards the end of that third year, I was like, I want to go back. I want to get back in. And I got the opportunity. And then I was in another organization for 5 years, another organization for 6 years. I made it to the big leagues
Mm.
in that Houston Astros organization. And then I became the pitching coach for the Angels, Los Angeles Angels, in
Mm.
2019. And that was the dream. That was my goal. That was what I wanted. And so I eventually created that. And that's why the story's so cool, because
Mm.
it's such a journey. It was for myself. It was such a journey. And it's also so interesting how we love to fight against
Yeah.
the journey we're going on anyways. I had this thought the other day. I'm thinking to myself, like, what can I post? Because I'm wanting to share more on Instagram and Facebook, right? And I thought, okay, I want to share about, like, go on your journey, right? You're on your journey. You have two choices, really. You either put your feet in the sand and you get dragged the whole way along the journey, which doesn't feel very good, but you're doing the journey anyways because you said you want to and you do it.
Yeah.
Or you literally pick up your feet and you fly. Like, this is what I'm doing. This is my journey. And I'm just going to enjoy it for whatever comes up along the journey
Yeah.
because I made the decision to do the journey.
Yeah.
So it's like, what if it's different if you're like, I don't really want to do that. I think I'm going to go over here. That's fine. But I
That's
knew
also a journey. That's a different journey. Yeah.
it's just a different journey. Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's about not swimming upstream, letting go of the oars,
Yes.
all of that Abraham Hicks good stuff. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. So I want to circle back to something else that I told you yesterday about that I might want to ask.
Sure.
And that is with regards to taking care of yourself,
Mm.
like always having enough. So I would say money, but I believe it's also more, right? Because it's sometimes you get offered things and other people invite you and blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
But so let's say the means, the wealth, the richness, because for me it's not only money, it's more, it's resources.
Mm-hmm.
You were this is an assumption, but I believe the assumption is right, and if not, then tell me.
Mm-hmm.
You were always like comfortable in resources in the broadest sense of the word.
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct?
Yes, in the broadest sense of the word, yes.
Yeah. It's good that you emphasize that. I use my mom's credit card every now and no. So what I think I want to ask two questions about this.
Okay.
What do you believe contributes to having this in your life?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first question. So
I've always had the belief that if I'm following my heart along my journey, the things that I want will come along with it eventually in due time, and sometimes in the order that really makes the most sense. So, for example, as I was a baseball coach, either in my own business or moving up the ranks inside of professional baseball. I just knew as I created the business and grounded myself inside of it and enjoyed it and built it, money would be there and it would come. And that's exactly what happened. And I knew as I moved up in baseball, money would come and I would be at a point where, hey, this is really nice. This is awesome. This is abundantly flowing. And that's exactly what happened. The timeline is sometimes a little goofy, right? As a human being, because you want the timeline to be tomorrow. But I just trusted that I was going to be doing what I was anyways. That was already a decision that I made.
Yeah.
And so I was like, and that means I want an abundance of finances. So I knew that was going to come eventually in my process.
I love that. So because you speak about belief and knowing, and also this is my strong belief as well, that if you follow, you said heart, and I also believe heart and intuition, and they're interlinked. I think that the intuition comes from the heart center.
Yep.
That everything will always work out perfectly.
Yeah.
And now, like my second question is like, I'm going, no, so now I'm like, what was my second question again? So just a moment. Okay. No, I think it's, wait.
It'll come back.
Yeah. If it really wants to.
Exactly.
Do you have like a state of being that you feel like a consistent, that's the word. Do you have a consistent inner state of being that you know of? And if so, can you describe it?
So I can answer that in a few different ways. I have an inner state of being based on the fact that we're all physical and non-physical entities, human beings, whatever you want to call it. So I have infinite resources, infinite love, infinite abundance streaming through me all day, every day, right? That absolutely is mine and every other's state of being. When I project thoughts on certain subjects, my state of being sometimes gets off kilter because I have basically not tended to it in the way I intended to tend to it. So anybody's state of being is constantly in that flux situation of where's your subject? Where are your thoughts around the subject? But overall, like when I ask myself about me, about life, about so on and so forth, I know all is well. I know I'm doing very well. And I do know life is good. And you still are living a physical human being experience and you still want certain things. And so it's just me finding my way of that relationship to those things that I do want, but necessarily haven't showed up yet in physical terms.
And do you have, thank you, by the way. Okay, next question. No, thank you. My inner being honors your inner being.
No worries.
Do you have a daily practice?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Every morning I wake up and I meditate and then I move my body. So before I ever leave my little humble abode here, I'm always meditating and moving. And then normally I go to a breakfast spot and I'll write. And it'll be different types of writing. Maybe it's a list of items I want to tend to where there's a list of items I want the universe to tend to. Maybe it's intention setting. Maybe it's writing to my soul. Maybe it's my soul writing through me. Maybe it's me writing an appreciation list. It's different types of writing for the
Mm.
moment,
Mm.
but that is pretty consistent. Meditation, movement, and some sort of writing practice.
That's really cool. And what it made me think of. So, okay, 2 questions again. It's your, well,
I
actually
love
a
how
lot
they I
more,
love how
but
they come in I love how
I
they
don't want
come
to
in
go.
twos.
What?
I love how they come in twos. You keep saying, I have two
They're
questions.
actually,
I have
they're
two
actually
questions. I have two questions.
Uh, so, do you do a silent sitting meditation?
Yeah,
Or do
I
Mm.
do. Sometimes I do silent. Mostly I do a sound.
A
So
what?
on a sound.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So sometimes my refrigerator hums at the right time, my 15 minutes of meditation. So I listen to the hum of the refrigerator. Or I have an app and has certain noises, certain sounds, and
Mhm.
I just put it on one and set the timer for 15 minutes and do my best to just tune into the sound.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah.
Second, second question. So, how long have you had your writing practice?
Oh man, that's a good question. Probably since I've known about universal law and stuff. So since I was like 19 or 20,
Wow.
yeah, I
So
just did it in different ways.
it's not from reading The Artist's Way from Julia Cameron.
No,
Have
no,
you
no.
heard of the book?
I believe I have. I've never read it, but I
Okay.
believe I have. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going I'm going somewhere with this question because you released a book with someone.
Yes. Come Sit By Me. It's a art poetry book. Yeah.
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 And so I read a couple of sentences, like somehow the website, maybe it's Chrome, maybe I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I read a couple of sentences and it was like, wow, this is deep.
Aw-
It
Awesome.
really touched me. It's like, right? Yeah. So maybe that was also the thing that I was like, okay, I'm not ready for this yet. Doesn't really matter. Not what the question is about. Do you like, how was the process for that? You told me a little bit yesterday about it.
Yeah.
No, wait. Okay, 2 questions again. The first question is, how um did you have a desire
Mhm.
to put poetry out there or writings
Mm.
out there? Did you have a desire for that?
I didn't. I I always thought I was going to write a. Well, no, actually, that's not true either. Plenty of people have told me, Doug, you need to write a book.
Mm,
For whatever reason, throughout the last, let's say, the last 5 years of my life. Hey, Doug, you need to put those thoughts down. You need to write a book, whatever. And I'm just like, the way, a book feels to me is just overwhelming. Like I think way too far down the line. I think way too much and like, wow, look at all the things you got to handle. And so I
mm,
don't have much inspiration to sit and start that process.
mm,
But what was going on during COVID is I was going through a whole bunch of shifting and re-identification of self and so on and so forth. And I got in touch with my friend Lindsay on Facebook. We met on Facebook. She had some really cool things she was doing. And I don't know if I reached out to her, she reached out to me, but we were like, hey, I think maybe we should do a project together. And we thought of a few different things. We thought of a children's book. We thought of whatever we thought of. We didn't think of poetry and art at all. She one day, for whatever reason, sent me something. And I was like, wow, this is great. It makes me feel like writing this. And then
mm,
I just wrote and I wrote till I was done. And that's what came out. And we were like, oh, this is interesting. Here, let me
mm,
send you another piece. She sent me another piece. I was inspired right on the spot, right when I saw it. I wrote. It was like I had to write. And so we went on our way. We did that for like 15 pieces of art and poetry. And we were like, hey, what do you think? Should we publish this? And we started to ask. And we asked some companies, and they're like, well, actually 15 is not enough. Normally, if we do a book, you at least have to get to 30. I don't know how people come up with that number, but they say get to 30. So me and Lindsay looked at each other. I said, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we said, hey, well, okay, let's get to 30. And just no pressure, no rush, no timeline. She'd send me a piece. If it felt inspired immediately, I'd write. If it didn't, I'd ask for another piece. And eventually, over about a 2-year span, maybe a little less, we had our pieces. We went to the self-publishing route, and now we have this beautiful book. And it really is. It's called Come Sit By Me, and we have a website for it, comesitbymebook.com. And it's amazing. And it was just right time, right place for me to, man, I had a release, I had to express, and that's what came in that part of my life. So that was pretty awesome.
I'll put the link in the description as well. So,
Sure.
wow. And so to me, you surf, right?
Yes,
In the
I do.
ocean. Yeah.
Love surfing. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, it feels like you've got surfing, you understand surfing in life or
Yeah.
with life or with like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Intellectually and viscerally in most ways. That's the funny thing about being a coach. Victoria is like, and one thing I love to be open and honest about with people, because it scared me for so long. Like, oh man, I'm supposed to be a coach. I'm supposed to know all these things. I'm not supposed to mess up, even though we know there's no mess ups, right? But all these supposed tos, right? And I've finally come around to like, actually, that's your superpower, to be able to have the life experiences and then contemplate and reflect upon them in a way where you receive some epiphanies or some insights or some enlightenments, so you can share them with whoever is in the vibrational vicinity to pick it up. And it took a little while for me to get around to that in this regard, because I was always in the baseball world. I was in the physical world a lot. And I wasn't necessarily comfortable with being who I am now, in the way of like what I choose to share and the way I want to say it. And I still struggle with that sometimes when I go back into the baseball world and talk to certain people. But I'm much more comfortable now. And so, yeah, so I absolutely know how to surf inside of life. And also, I'm human and I fuck it up all the time.
Yeah, and it makes you relatable. I mean, who wants to coach? Okay, so this is how it's done, because I know
Yeah.
no one.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
whatever.
I think we all know the jig is up. Most of the people that, are in our communities, let's say, or what have you. Most people, even if you're not a spiritual person or religious person, whatever, it doesn't even matter. I think most people know the jig is up. This is a human experience, and we're all doing the best we can along our path.
Yeah. And recently I heard, and I really like that, like, because there's so many people that came into the media, or so many, whatever. Let's just one person that came into the media because he did something horrible with a girl and his wife, and blah 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 blah. And then people then all of a sudden write that person off. It's still a human being with it's the darker side, but it's still like, it's without that dark side, you're not like, it's a three, you want to be in circle, right? Or do you want to be Pac-Man? No.
I agree.
So
I think one of the main deals on that is, what I feel like I've done a pretty good job of in my life is learning, discovering from my life experiences and how I want to then behave from that. So for example, like the one, I did a speech the other, a month ago or two about leadership and learning leadership, right? And one of my thoughts on it was, learning from your own life experience. So for example, I was in a restaurant, I worked in restaurants for many years, and I learned compassion. I learned understanding. I learned giving others the benefit of the doubt through that experience. Because like if you're a waiter or a waitress, let's say, and you're waiting on a table, they think you're controlling everything behind the doors. You take the order and you go back, and it's like you're cooking the food and you're cleaning the dishes and you're doing all this stuff. And it's like, no, actually, that's not how it works at all. But I didn't know that. And so I realized, like, oh my gosh, I hope I don't treat others this way when I sit in a restaurant. And so it's the same way about the cancel culture. All I can do is focus on me and do the best I can in the regard where if I see somebody and we all think it's acting out of hand or acting out of mind, whatever you want to call it, I just do the best I can to go, how would I want someone to treat me after that experience came out? And I would want someone to support and love me still. I would want someone to show me their heart and compassion. I would want someone to hold my hand. And so I do the best. It doesn't mean I feel that way. I mean, like, if someone's killing somebody, murdering people, like, of course, like, man, that's super tough. And also they still are a human being. So
I have an interesting take on that, but let's not go there because everyone will stop following me on
okay. No tangent.
Let's not go down that road.
Okay.
Okay. I want to be mindful of your time and of the time of people watching. Yeah. 2 things. Now I'm just so mindful of the 2 things.
Oh, great. I've never been in an interview where it comes in twos. I think it's great.
That's the first. So we have to have a second.
I think it's efficient.
It's efficient.
Very efficient.
It comes in twos. Yeah. Yeah. What can I say? Efficient. Okay. Yeah. So yesterday I had that quote for you from the Seth material. Can I read it again?
Yes,
and
please
I would
do.
love to have your or your whatever comes up. So Seth says, in your system of reality, you are learning what mental energy is and how to use it. You do this by constantly transforming your thoughts and emotions into physical form. You are supposed to get a clear picture of your inner development by perceiving the exterior environment. And what seems to be perception, an objective, concrete event independent from you, is instead the materialization of your own inner emotions, energy, and mental environment.
Yeah. So for me, my biggest takeaway in my own life there is, I think thinking gets a bad rap. And this is what we talked about yesterday, and I believe it even more strongly right now that we're talking about it. There's a continuum to everything. And so there's a continuum to the thought and the feeling place. There's a relationship to thinking and feeling. We are humans. We do have a brain. We do have a mind. There's some thought process that should, not needs, should take place to be able to intake your life, to be able to properly contemplate and reflect on your life, to then make changes. Yes, to process it and then move forward and proceed. You want to think. The kicker is, when you think, feel into the thought. Thought comes, feel it. Thought comes, feel it. Thought comes, feel it. And in my opinion, you should never separate the two, because that is a full guidance system. Now, there are moments where it's like, I just want to feel like, I want to do the best I can to quiet that. I want to breathe. I want to cry. I want to scream. I want to joy, whatever it is. I think that's absolutely true as well. But when we're talking about what Seth wrote there, right, that thought is literally about understanding mental energy.
Mm.
And mental energy is a thought process. It's a thinking process that then is guided, introduced, interpreted with your emotions. And so that's how I read that statement.
Mm. Yeah. And I love that. And so I think we think we say the same, and that doesn't really matter if we think we say the same, but this is what I
Mhm.
feel. Like I had this thought when you were speaking about it, that you need to be able to take a distance and observe, because otherwise you're in it, and you cannot see the mental energy. You are the mental energy.
Yeah, you got to get outside your own story sometimes. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for your perspective. Okay.
Yeah.
Last question.
Yes.
And then I'm going to let you go. Um, assuming, so I have decided that I'm going to be 120 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty good.
I'm well on my way, though.
Yes.
So-
You're doing lovely. You're doing lovely. Are you gonna share? Are you gonna share your physical age with us?
If you want to know it, yeah.
Sure.
47.
Nice. I'm 46.
I'm older.
Yes, you are.
So yes, I am.
Good job.
So assuming that you're gonna live for a long time,
Hmm.
and that you're going to leave this lovely planet of ours at the moment, that you're like, yeah, cool, did it all, so long, guys. What is one thing that you would have loved to experience in your life? Just one, not two, just one.
I was gonna say, can I name 3, 4, 5?
You can, but
So I don't know if I could do this without crying though.
aw, go. Yes.
Uh,
That's a first too, crying on a YouTube interview. Yes, do.
no one has cried on this stuff with you. I'm a tender heart man. I cry all the time. I'm an emotional
Okay.
dude.
Okay, go.
So because this is consuming my mind space these days,
Exactly this, what I'm asking
this
you.
thing I'm about to tell you,
Okay.
when you say, what is something you want to experience before you leave? Okay. And I know I'll experience this eventually. And this is where the tears are going to start coming.
Mm.
I want to be able to open myself up in a way where I can fully receive, give, and receive another's love inside of a relationship for a lifetime experience.
Mm.
That would be something that would be, I feel like, truly magical for me.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I love that.
I just feel it fiercely just because it's super important to me, and it's something I want. And yeah.
Thank you so much for being on, for crying on my show. It's your party. You can do whatever you want.
Okay, good.
Thank you everyone for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next.